Start bench sell. Since you're mentioning
gosh.
Pulisic this, Pulisic that, what do you think about the move to Milan? I wanted to ask you another question, Breton. Since it's the last time I can do it because these three players will not be together at Chelsea anymore. Who would you start bench sell between Christian Pulisic, Mykhailo Mudryk, and Raheem Sterling? Who would you start bench sell with these three players, Breton? Do you have any choices?
My gosh. Okay, this is where my bias comes through. But listen, Christian Pulisic against Mexico is Christian Pulisic. That's the one I know. That's who I know. Okay, but if we're using Chelsea form, it becomes a whole lot more difficult. Christian Pulisic right now, I'm going to say I'm going to start Christian Pulisic. I'm going to bench Mykhailo Mudryk because I think he's still got a lot to learn and a massive ceiling. And I'm going to sell Raheem Sterling because he hasn't really done too much for anyone as of late. And the best move that was made was Manchester City selling Raheem Sterling and taking €55 million for that. CP10 is 24, and when he's injured, he doesn't do anyone a favor. But I really, really think he's a game changer when he starts playing well. And if you watch USA Mexico, you've gotten a taste of it as of late. If the last game you saw was him in a Chelsea shirt, then I completely understand you killing me in the comment section right now, and I will take it and I will wear it as a cape. But Mykhailo Mudryk, we've all seen him in the U21 Euros. When this kid is comfortable, this kid can play really, really well, and he has become the best friend of that midfielder that is on the end of every one of his assists. Mudryk can cook. I just don't know if he can do it in the Premier League just yet.
I think he will, though. I think he will. I'm confident about it. And I would start Mykhailo Mudryk. I would bench Raheem Sterling, and I would sell Christian Pulisic.
And listen, Raheem Sterling has a history that is much richer than Christian Pulisic. I completely understand that. But as of late, what has Raheem Sterling done for anybody lately?
He did have bits too in the past for England in which he was important, but not important enough to win a title for England. So people, put down below your thoughts about this one. But this is a start bench sell. I'm extremely proud of my answer because I'll answer first this one because start bench sell with a Ronald Araujo, with a Ligt, and with a Saliba. Okay, because I think people have big doubts because Saliba had a big season for Arsenal. It's not anymore a Saliba that just performed in Liga. So the Ligt is not at his prime right now. So I'm going to say start Ronald Araujo. I would bench William Saliba, and I would unfortunately sell in this form Matthias de Ligt. I want to see the leader I once saw at Ajax. I think he's growing at Bayern, but it's clear to me that Ronald Araujo is the best center back in the world next to Ruben Dias. 100%. So I wanted to clearly state that.
Let's. Okay, I see only facts here. There are only facts here. So I'm going to completely agree with you, and I'm not even really going to give you my reasoning. Although what I do see is I can see de Ligt forming an incredible partnership with Min Jae Kim at some point in the near future, whenever the heck that deal gets actually over the line. I think de Ligt with Upamecano has not necessarily worked out as well as people have wanted it to. De Ligt is the better of the two, and there's no doubt about that. But it seems tough. He's a Bayern player. He holds value. So, yeah, I'm still going to go Ronald Araujo. I'll start. I'll bench Saliba, and I'll sell de Ligt.
And if I put Gvardiol, would you still... Would you change Gvardiol from de Ligt? Would you change that order? Because Gvardiol, would you put him ahead of Saliba?
I would.
Okay. That's why City's paying the 100 million.
And that's exactly. And that's coming from somebody that thinks Gvardiol didn't have necessarily last season and 100 million season, right? But you're buying also his future. You're buying this guy can turn into a behemoth.
That's true.
We know that. He is already world class, but he can do so much better. And I think he will do so much better. And I think that if they do spend another 100 million on another defender, Manchester City, that is, Josko Gvardiol will not disappoint. I would actually, it's just whether or not, Ronald Araujo, I think you have to then bring into the conversation, dude, he's injury prone.
No, but
Wonderful
he's
player.
fixing that.
He's
though.
injury prone.
He's fixing
I
that
know.
though, because with time, a
I
player
know.
as tall as he is, like you need to develop a lot your body muscle and all that. And I think he's finally got into that sweet spot in terms of recovery, a bit like Haaland too. I think Ronald Araujo and Haaland suffer because of their height and their body, but they win.
But he's got
in the battle.
he's got how many years? He's got how many years? The senior on Gvardiol.
Exactly.
Right.
No,
So Gvardiol, I mean, you could make that same argument about Gvardiol, but Gvardiol has been Iron Man for RB Leipzig. And you know, he's been a massive part of the reason why they've won 2 trophies. Yeah. Even though Bayern continues to win the Bundesliga, they've at least got their first 2 trophies in the bag. I, believe it or not, think Gvardiol could do well with another season of Champions League football in the Bundesliga, but I don't think it's going to happen.
And I wanted to say, too, it's disrespectful from ESPN not to put the Ligt in the top 10 list. Ooh. Okay? He absolutely should be in the top 10 list, and it should be Ruben Dias number 1 with Ronald Araujo next to him, okay? Definitely. Ronald Araujo is ahead of the Ligt, Gvardiol, Saliba, all of them, in my opinion.
It's so bonkers just even thinking about that stuff. So anytime you rank a top 10 and you're as pervasive of a media outlet as ESPN is, you're inviting, I think this is what they want, but you're inviting so much interaction, mostly negative, because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But the league, come on, like what he was doing at 18, just pales in comparison. And he, while his trajectory has not been straight, he's just further proof that development is not a straight line up. Completely. It will never be a straight line up. But the Ligt is still a world-class defender that apparently you and I both want to sell.
Well, compared to Gvardiol and Saliba. But let me just do this one too, and then you can do me this one. That start bench sell with Jude Bellingham, with Camavinga, and with Pedri this season. Who would you start bench sell with these top 3 midfielders in terms of youngsters? Like, they're in the stage of their own. So who would you start bench sell with these 3 players? Because you must have an answer thought in your head.
I must. I feel like we've done this before, but I feel like the last time we did it, Pedri was injured. So in my mind, it made it so much easier. I think I'm going to start Bellingham. I'm going to bench Pedri, and I'm going to sell Camavinga because of his newfound versatility. And hey, if everyone's seen the video of Camavinga in goal with his family shooting on him, who knows? Maybe he could play goalkeeper as well. Or
striker.
But when it comes, or striker. And Stade Rennais, whatever. We just talked and waxed poetic about them. But listen, Jude Bellingham, I think it's because he's more primal, more like outgoing about his leadership, more I think verbal and more,
Pedri.
Yeah.
He's that unspoken
Pedri
leader.
Does everything exactly. And I think right now, for some reason, they're phenomenal. Both of them are insane, right? Mm-hmm. But when it comes down to it, Pedri is definitely a better baller, right? Out and out baller. But those kind of intangibles, I think Jude Bellingham has that, like that will to win, that will to whatever. Now, Pedri has that will to win too, so I don't know what the heck I'm saying. But as of right now, I'm going to start Bellingham, I'm going to bench Pedri, and I'm going to sell Camavinga due to his versatility. And my goodness, this could change day to day.
It should be good as versatility, man. But I'm starting Pedri. Yeah. I am benching Jude Bellingham, and I'm selling to Camavinga. Pedri is an unspoken leader that the future of Barca depends on the future of Pedri too. I really believe next season Pedri will be spoken in the top 3 midfielders talk. Pedri. He's going to be so important in the rhythm of Barcelona and the Champions League success that they will have too. I believe that will be the case. But
fair enough.
That was hard, man. It's a hard one. It's easy. Hard. But put down below your start bench sells until now and suggestions of start bench sells for us to do during this transfer window because we have time to speak about these things. But Bretzen, get me. You're telling me. Mm-hmm. You're telling me you had one. You had one to do, yeah.
Oh yes. I'm sorry. I just phased out for a second. All right, I got one for you. Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo, and Manu Ugarte.
Oh. Hey, that's a hard one. That's all. I really rate Ugarte, but I would start Enzo Fernandez because the importance he had for Argentina. They won a World Cup because of him. Obviously, Messi, the main player. Moises Caicedo, this development has been insane for Brighton, so I would bench him, and I would unfortunately sell Ugarte, that I think is a great signing from PSG. It hurts me so much to start Enzo, bench Caicedo, and sell Ugarte because I really rate Ugarte so highly. One of the best young CDMs in the world. But Caicedo and Enzo, if those two are together at Chelsea, Pochettino has an elite midfield in the making. So,
well, guess what? I think you and I would think that we are aligned here, but I do have a switch. Okay. I really do feel that Ugarte's performances in the Champions League for Sporting and how this guy, Sporting, were out in the group stage.
For Arsenal.
They were out in the group
against
stage.
Arsenal.
Against Arsenal. But they were out in the group stage. They went to the Europa League after that. Out in the group stage, and he still led the Champions League in tackles won per 90, and he was second in tackles won overall. Okay? So Sporting, I mean, Manu Ugarte, I think, is another one that is just a destroyer presence. I think he's going to be one of the signings of the season. And I think PSG did right by overpaying right now for that amount. I mean, just think what Paulinho went for how much and how much of a success he was in the Premier League. Now look at Ugarte, many years his junior, literally just continuing to figure out the game and continuing to excel exponentially. I honestly believe that this is my reasoning for still starting Enzo. I'm not that stupid. Benching Ugarte, and I'm going to sell Caicedo until he can do it in the Champions League or do it in Europe.
That's bold. Now,
that's bold.
He did it in the World Cup for Ecuador.
He did. But coming from a guy who is so incredibly high on Caicedo and has been for years, I still think Ugarte did not get enough good press for what he did last season.
I agree. And a lot of Sporting players deserve more press, and they seem to get it after they leave the club. The likes of Palhinha, Bruno Fernandes, Nuno Mendes, Mateus Nunes. Mateus Nunes, okay, he could be better, but he's a baller too. So it's like they deserve all the attention. And yeah, I like it. I like that take on Ugarte. And people, it's not too unreasonable to say that, like considering that he will be a starter, 100% a starter at PSG. So yeah, tell us down below your start bench sell with that. But the last one, we have a bit of a help of Aguero in this one, because Aguero said to the world his top 3 strikers, ever in the history of football, and it had Thierry, it had Kun Aguero, and it had Ronald Nazario, R9. So between these 3 players, Breton, that Aguero has told us, who would you start, bench, sell between Thierry, Ronald Nazario, and Luis Suarez?
Luis Suarez. Oh God, this is just inviting.
It's inviting.
This is just inviting like catastrophe in the comments section, buddy. For the enigma of what Ronaldo Nazario was, and how dominant he was when he was that dominant. I'm gonna say Ronaldo Nazario. I would start. Assuming we have the Ronaldo we're all talking about, right?
This is prime. This is prime, Prime
talk. So this is prime. I would then bench Suarez, and I would sell Thierry Henry. And this is from a guy that had Thierry Henry on his wall growing up. Because 1998, I actually went to that World Cup. That probably just dated how old I am. But 1998 was one of the most kind of the craziest moments of my entire life. And Thierry Henry was the young guy amidst a bunch of older dudes making their statement at their home and winning France their first World Cup in 1998. And Thierry Henry then became one of my favorite players. Why am I selling him? Because Luis Suarez in his prime, where he was with Barcelona, was virtually unstoppable.
One of the best number 9s ever in the history of football.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. I agree with that. Thierry Henry also had his moments, but I don't think as consistently as Luis Suarez was. Thierry Henry is still a legendary, but Ronaldo Nazario, I think, is head and shoulders above both of them in his prime.
Yeah, Ballon d'Or winner. Ballon d'Or winner too. So I would start Ronald Nazario, I would bench Luis Suarez, and I would sell Thierry. I believe Thierry is one of the best players that have never won a Ballon d'Or that deserve to win one. But Luis Suarez, as a number 9, he's the best I've ever seen. Seen, okay? He was so special at Barca, and Ronald Nazario was so dominant at his peak. Ronald Nazario, literally, like, he was called for Brazil, and Romário was called out. Okay, and Romário is one of the best strikers ever in the history of the game. So I'm gonna reiterate: Ronald Nazario start, bench Luis Suarez, and selling Thierry. That is a baller too. But these two, greatness, man.
And anyone that ever wants to throw whatever the Eredivisie's way, both Ronaldo and Luis Suarez got their first calling in Europe, in the Netherlands. Right?
It's true.
And they both balled out there before they made bigger
Groningen
moves. So
and PSV. Great
absolutely.
mention.
It's really, really important to remember that the developmental, I mean, you need a place where you can play right away. That's why a lot of us were a little bit nervous when Vinicius Jr. signed right away for Real Madrid.
Good point.
Right? That's, and in the end, it's great that it has worked out very well, I might add. But there will always be thoughts that the first place you need to go is a place like Belgium or the Netherlands, or these days the Bundesliga will play a lot of youth. So that developmental step is absolutely key, and the Netherlands is just amazing at it.
But
so I'm hoping the same happens with Ricardo Pepi, buddy. But we'll see.
Or like what happened to Xavi Simons. That was elite.
Exactly.
But people, put down below your start bench cells you'd like us to talk and your answers of these start bench cells. And if you're listening until now, don't forget to like this video.